The moment I found out I was the other guy, and when I confronted her, she didn't apologize. Instead, she threatened to destroy my life. They say the truth will set you free. What they don't tell you is that sometimes the truth will also make someone threaten to destroy your life just to keep their lies intact. This is the story of how I became the other guy without knowing it, and what happened when I refused to stay silent. In March 2019, I was 28 years old, working as a software developer for a mid-sized tech company in Denver, and honestly just living my life. I wasn't looking for anything serious when I met Christina Winters at a networking mixer downtown. She was 4 years older than me, confident in that effortless way some people have, and we clicked immediately over terrible conference wine and complaints about industry buzzwords. She told me she worked in marketing consultation, traveled frequently for client meetings, and had just moved to Denver 6 months prior. When she gave me her number, I remember thinking it felt natural, easy, like the universe was finally throwing me a bone after a string of failed dating app situations. I had no idea I was walking into someone else's marriage. By April, we were seeing each other 2 or 3 times a week. Christina would come over to my apartment after work. We'd cook together, watch movies, talk until 2 in the morning about everything and nothing. She stayed over most weekends. We celebrated her birthday in May with dinner at this Italian place she loved, and she seemed genuinely touched when I remembered she preferred white wine over red. She talked about our future casually, places we'd visit together, restaurants we needed to try, how she wanted to introduce me to her sister eventually. Her friends knew about me. I'd met 2 of them at a bar in June. Everything felt legitimate, progressing naturally. There were no red flags waving in my face, no mysterious phone calls, no weird excuses. Looking back now, there were little things, tiny cracks in the story that I didn't piece together at the time because I had no reason to be suspicious. She was never available on certain weeknights, Mondays and Thursdays specifically. She said it was client calls with East Coast accounts. Made sense given her job. She didn't post much on social media, which she explained as being private and not wanting to mix personal and professional life. Again, reasonable. The bigger tell was that she never invited me to her place, not once in 7 months. Her excuse was that she was renting a tiny furnished apartment month to month while she looked for something permanent, and she was embarrassed by how cramped it was. I offered to help her apartment hunt. She said she'd let me know when she was ready. I didn't push. I trusted her. Late October, a Tuesday night, we'd been talking about her work. She mentioned a project with a client in Boulder, and something about the company name didn't sit right with me. Not in a suspicious way, just in a that doesn't match what she said last week way. I thought maybe I'd misheard, so I Googled her name. Simple curiosity. Christina Winters Marketing Denver. The first page of results showed her LinkedIn, a couple of conference speaker listings, and then buried halfway down a local news article from 2016 about Teacher Appreciation Week. There was a photo of a high school assembly. The caption listed faculty members and their spouses, Vincent Winters and his wife Christina. I sat there staring at my laptop screen for probably 10 minutes straight, my brain trying to recalibrate reality. I searched again. Christina Winters married. Public records appeared immediately. Marriage license from 2015. She'd been married for 4 years. Then I found Vincent's Facebook. It wasn't private. Wedding photos. Vacation pictures from 2018. A post from 3 weeks ago. Anniversary dinner with my beautiful wife. My hands went cold. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, I decided I needed to hear it from her directly. Maybe there was an explanation, separation, open marriage, something. I texted her, "We need to talk. Can you come by tonight?" She showed up at 7 wearing the smile she always wore, completely unaware. I didn't waste time. "Are you married?" The smile vanished. Her eyes darted to the side, then back to me. "What are you talking about?" "Christina, I found the marriage license. I saw the photos. Vincent Winters, high school teacher, married since 2015. She stood frozen for maybe 5 seconds. Then her expression shifted into something I'd never seen before, cold calculation. "You went digging into my life? That's borderline stalking, Justin." I felt my stomach drop. "Stalking? You lied to me for 7 months. You're married. You've been lying to him, lying to me." "I never lied about anything. You never mentioned you had a husband." She stepped closer, and her voice dropped into something sharp and threatening. "Listen to me very carefully. If you contact Vincent, if you cause problems in my marriage, I will go to the police and file for a protective order. I'll tell them you've been harassing me. showing up unannounced, threatening me. My blood went cold. I've never threatened you. I've never even raised my voice at you. They won't know that. It'll be my word. And guess what? A woman scared of a man she was seeing? They'll believe me. She grabbed her purse. Stay away from me, Justin. I mean it. Then she left. I stood in my living room, shaking not from fear, but from pure rage. Not only had she built an entire relationship on lies, not only had she betrayed her husband and used me as a prop in her double life, but now she was threatening to destroy my reputation to cover her tracks. That flipped a switch inside me. I spent the next 2 days thinking through every angle. Christina was betting I'd be too scared of legal trouble or too decent to blow up her life. She was counting on my silence. But here's the thing about people like Christina. They underestimate quiet people. They mistake composure for weakness. I wasn't going to let her twist this narrative. I wasn't going to become the villain in her story. And Vincent deserved to know the truth before she could spin some version where I was a crazy stalker and she was a victim. So I found his address. It was listed publicly on the county assessor's website, easy enough to find if you know where to look. I drove by the house on a Thursday afternoon. A modest 2-story in a suburban neighborhood. His car was in the driveway. I parked across the street and walked up to the front door. Vincent Winters answered on the second knock. Mid-30s, average height, wearing a Broncos sweatshirt. He looked tired in a way that went deeper than a long workday. "Can I help you?" he asked, polite but cautious. "My name is Justin Watson. I'm sorry to show up like this, but I need to talk to you about Christina." His face didn't change much, but something shifted in his eyes. Recognition, maybe. Or confirmation of something he'd suspected. "Come in," he said quietly. We sat in his living room. There were framed photos on the mantle, wedding pictures, vacation shots. I felt sick looking at them. "I didn't know she was married," I started. "We've been seeing each other since March. She told me she was single. I found out 2 days ago when I looked her up online. When I confronted her, she threatened to file a protective order against me if I said anything to you." Vincent nodded slowly, like he was processing information he'd already half expected. "I've had a feeling she was stepping out on me," he said. His voice was flat. "Little things. Late nights, distant behavior. I asked her about it a few times, but she always had an explanation." "I'm sorry," I said. "I wouldn't be here if she hadn't tried to make me the bad guy." "I believe you." He rubbed his face. "Thank you for telling me." Then Vincent did something I didn't expect. He pulled out his phone. "She's at a work dinner right now," he said. "Or, that's what she told me." He dialed. "Put it on speaker." It rang 4 times before she answered. "Hey babe, what's up?" Christina's voice came through, casual and warm. "I'm sitting here with Justin Watson," Vincent said calmly. "He has something to say to you." Dead silence. Then a sharp intake of breath. "Hi, Christina," I said. "I just wanted to tell you to never contact me again, and I wanted to apologize to Vincent for being unknowingly involved in this situation." More silence. Then her voice came back, shaking with barely contained rage. "You son of a..." Vincent hung up. He looked at me with an expression I'll never forget, part anger, part relief, part heartbreak. "Thank you," he said. "Really." I nodded. "I hope you figure out what's best for you." Then I left. I sat in my car for a few minutes before driving away. My hands were shaking, adrenaline still pumping through my system. But underneath that, I felt something else. Clarity, mixed with a kind of hollow victory. I'd done the right thing. I was sure of that, but it didn't feel good the way I'd imagined it might. There was no satisfaction in watching someone's marriage implode, even when that someone had used me as ammunition in her deception. What stayed with me as I drove home wasn't triumph, it was the memory of Vincent's face. That exhausted acceptance. He'd known something was wrong for months, maybe longer. He'd been living with the ghost of his wife's betrayal before he even had proof, and now he had it, delivered by a stranger on his doorstep. I wondered how long he'd suspected. I wondered how many times he'd pushed down that gut feeling because confronting it seemed worse than living with the doubt. I ordered takeout, deleted Christina's number from my phone, and sat on my couch staring at nothing for probably 2 hours. The apartment felt different somehow, contaminated by all the nights she'd been here, pretending this was real, while her husband sat at home alone. The next few weeks were strange in a way I wasn't prepared for. I kept expecting some kind of fallout, a legal notice, angry messages, Christina showing up at my door, but nothing came. Radio silence. Part of me was relieved. The other part was unsettled by how easily she disappeared from my life after 7 months of what I'd thought was genuine connection. I told a couple of close friends what had happened, mostly because I needed to process it out loud. They were shocked, supportive, and more than a little impressed that I'd handled it the way I did. But their reactions made me realize something uncomfortable. I didn't feel like I'd won anything. The truth is, I wasn't in love with Christina. 7 months wasn't long enough for that, and maybe on some subconscious level I'd sensed that something was off. But being lied to so completely, being used as a piece in someone else's deception that messed with my head in ways I didn't expect. I started second-guessing things, small things. When someone was late to meet me, I wondered if they were lying about where they'd been. When a date was vague about their living situation, I felt my guard go up. I hated that Christina had done that to me, planted these seeds of suspicion that had nothing to do with anyone else. What stuck with me most was how quickly she'd tried to flip the narrative, how easily she'd threatened to weaponize the legal system against me. That was the part that haunted me at 3 in the morning when I couldn't sleep. She'd look me in the eye and threaten to destroy my reputation without a second of hesitation. No guilt, no remorse, just cold, calculated self-preservation. It made me wonder, had anything about her been real? Or had I just been dating a performance the entire time? About 3 weeks after everything went down, I got a message on Instagram from an account I didn't recognize. No profile picture, generic username. The message said, "This is Christina. I need to explain. Please call me." I stared at it for maybe 30 seconds, my thumb hovering over the keyboard. Part of me, the part that still wanted answers, that still wanted to understand how someone could lie so thoroughly, to wanted to respond. But I knew better. There was no explanation that would make sense, no justification that would undo what she'd done. She wasn't reaching out because she felt guilty. She was reaching out because her life had imploded, and she wanted to control the damage. I blocked the account. 2 days later, another account. "Justin, please. It's not what you think. Vincent is..." I didn't even finish reading it. Blocked. She tried one more time via email, an address I'd apparently given her months ago and forgotten about. The subject line was, "I'm sorry." I deleted it without opening it. Each attempt felt like validation that I'd made the right choice. She wasn't sorry. She was scrambling, and I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of my attention. I never actively sought out information about what happened to Christina and Vincent, but in February 2020, about 4 months after everything fell apart, I ran into one of Christina's friends at a coffee shop, the same one I'd met back in June. She recognized me, and, after an awkward moment, she said, "I heard what happened. I'm sorry she put you through that." "Is she?" I trailed off, not sure what I was even asking. "They're divorced," the friend said. "Vincent filed in December. It was finalized last month. Christina moved back to Arizona." I nodded slowly, absorbing the information. Part of me felt vindicated. Vincent had made the right choice. The other part felt something heavier. Sadness, maybe. Not for Christina, but for the life Vincent had built that was now demolished. "How's he doing?" I asked. "Better, from what I hear. He's seeing someone new, someone from his school." I felt genuine relief at that. Vincent deserved better. He'd seemed like a decent guy caught in an impossible situation, and knowing he'd moved forward gave me a strange sense of closure. "Thanks for telling me," I said. We parted ways, and I never saw her again either. But that conversation shifted something in me. It was confirmation that the truth, messy and painful as it was, had been the right path. Vincent was free now, and so was I. By spring of 2020, the whole situation felt like it had happened to someone else. I'd moved on, not in the sense that I'd found someone new, but in the sense that I'd processed the betrayal and come out the other side intact. But intact didn't mean unchanged. I was more careful about who I let into my life after that, more observant. I asked more questions. I paid attention to inconsistencies. Some people might call that baggage. I called it wisdom bought at a price I didn't want to pay again. But here's what I didn't let Christina take from me: my ability to trust eventually. Because letting one manipulative person ruin my faith in everyone else, that would have been letting her win in a different way. I focused on work, spent time with friends, picked up hobbies I'd neglected. Life moved forward the way it always does, and slowly, the scar tissue from those 7 months stopped aching. I started dating again cautiously. Met someone in late 2020 who was patient with my questions, who understood when I said I needed to take things slow. She didn't have a secret husband. She introduced me to her family early. Her life was an open book, and I learned to trust that transparency. The Christina situation taught me something important. People will tell you who they are if you pay attention, not through their words, but through their patterns, their inconsistencies, the stories that don't quite line up. And when you catch someone in a lie, how they react tells you everything you need to know about their character. It's been years now since 2019. I'm 33, in a healthy relationship with someone who doesn't have a secret husband, and I can look back on the Christina situation with a kind of detached perspective that only time can give you. Sometimes I still think about that night when she threatened me. The coldness in her eyes, the calculated way she tried to turn the tables and make me the villain in her story. And I'm grateful, genuinely grateful, that I didn't let fear silence me. Because here's what I learned. Silence protects the guilty, not the innocent. When someone tries to manipulate you into keeping their secrets, it's never about protecting you, it's about protecting themselves. I wonder sometimes if Vincent really moved on, or if he's still carrying pieces of that betrayal. I hope he found someone who treats him with the respect Christina never did. I hope you learned the same lesson I did, that being alone is infinitely better than being with someone who makes you doubt your own reality. As for Christina, I genuinely don't think about her much anymore. But when I do, I don't feel anger. I feel something closer to pity, because she destroyed her own life trying to live two of them. And for what? A few stolen months with someone she was willing to sacrifice the moment it became inconvenient? The truth always comes out eventually. You can't build a life on lies without everything collapsing. I just happened to be the catalyst that accelerated the inevitable. I wasn't a victim. I wasn't a villain. I was just a guy who refused to let someone else write his story. And in the end, that's the only kind of revenge that actually matters, living well, without regret, while the people who tried to destroy you fade into background noise you don't even hear anymore. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just refusing to carry someone else's lies.